Well, welcome back to the show, everybody. In this video, I'm going to be taking apart this entire dirt bike. I'm saying every last little nut and bolt. So this is going to be just the video for you if you're in the process of doing a restoration, or you're trying to fix something, or you're just kind of curious how things work, because I'm going to be taking the wheels off, hubs apart, triple tree, everything. So a lot of the things I'm going to be doing in this video are going to translate over to your bike, because a lot of this vintage stuff is put together really similar. And the reason I'm doing this is a 1975 XL125. I'm swapping a TRX200SX engine into, so stick around, and by the end of the video, this is all going to be in a pile on the garage floor. Let's start with the front wheel. I'm going to take the axle out and drop the wheel down a little bit so I can get the brake line off of there. Now normally there's a cotter pin holding this castle nut on, but I don't have it on there because I already had this apart once when I was building the forks. But we'll just take this out, pop the axle out, and drop the wheel down. Now when I pound this axle out, there's going to be a little washer that drops out and a little spacer sleeve over on this far side. Yeah, so how that works, you get your axle, washer, fork tube, hub, spacer, fork tube, washer, castle nut, cotter pin. Easy enough. Now the brake cable on these early XLs are a little weird. There's no adjustment down here, so you can't just pop this out. Found it easiest just to pop off this little brake arm. Come on. There. Now we can pop this out of here. A couple 12mm wrenches. Pop this guy loose. There we go. Now your hub and brake assembly just pulls straight out. Yep, pretty simple on this. This guy twists, pulls your brake shoes out to brake. A little speedometer gear way inside there. Make sure that's all greased up. Yeah, I put new bearings in here when I was rebuilding that wheel, but we'll pull this out and move to the back. And when I'm taking things apart, I kind of like to keep everything as assembled as they were originally and put them in a bag, kind of organized by the function or the area on the bike. So this will be bagged up all right on here. Front wheel, seal it up so nothing gets lost, and move on to the next section. And now onto the back wheel, just pop the master link off and get the chain out of here. Move on to the axle. Now we'll take off the foot brake rod, brake cable. You kind of notice this is definitely not Honda XL vintage here. This is off of a, probably like a 1980s Honda quad. Like how I chopped up this 10mm socket to make these wing nuts a little easier to get off. Should be able to pull this cable back and get the barrel out of here. Front one as well. All right. Now I'll take the chain tugs off both sides. I gotta get these double nutted so they don't spin. Do that on the other side as well. And normally there's a cotter pin here holding the castle nut in place. I had this apart already. There's not one now, but I'll put one in before I assemble everything. And before I can drop the wheel down, I need to take the brake stop off here. Now we should be free. Yeah, you'll see on the back end, there's a spacer here. Then the brake assembly and hub. Pretty similar to the front. Axles out, screwdrivers out, tires out. The rear brake assembly is very similar to the front, except no speedometer gear in there. Let's take the shocks off next. On this model, it looks like just a 14, 14, zip, zip, and both those will pop off. Pull it straight back. One side done. Whoa, buddy. Better strap this thing down. Now I'll probably take the handlebar controls off. Got some nice JIS impact bits. So I'm not going to strip out my screws like you would with the Phillips. Highly recommend these things. Here's a nice way to get grips off of handlebars. A little compressed air, especially with nozzles like this. Shove that under there just a little bit. So it's in between the grip and the handlebar, and give it a little air and it should pop right off. There we go. My nice thumb throttle. Now the handlebar clamp, these 4 12mm. Pop those out, handlebar should come right off. That's gone. And we'll put these back on here so don't lose those. Our fork tube's pretty simple, 12mm there and there. Take these. Ooh, that's tight. Those two out. Now the top one. This should slide right out. There, one nice, pretty fork tube. Same thing on this side. Easy peasy. Now the top fork bridge. I don't have a metric socket, so 1 1/8 American. That nut will pop off. There should be a washer below it. There we go. Should be able to pop this whole assembly up. I think I'm going to take the speedometer and tack off first. Headlight and tack assembly, I should be able to just get a 10mm socket down in here. And what else is holding you on, buddy? Not much. And before I get too crazy pulling this out, let's pop the headlight off and disconnect all of our wires. I'll go back to the body wiring harness. Not a whole lot in this bike since this is a custom bike, custom wiring harness, all that jazz. But one trick, if you ever get inside your headlight to move these wires around, you're a little unsure, you can do what I do. Just take a little piece of masking tape on both ends of every connection that you're unplugging and number each one, like 4, 3, 2, 1. So when you go to put it back together again, easy peasy. Yeah, when I go to put everything back together again, I'll just line up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down here. And we're off and running. Top fork bridge should just slide right off. And this top nut should thread off. We should see the top bearings here. Now be careful at this point, because these aren't caged bearings on these bikes. If you pull this out, all the bearings are going to fall out of there onto the ground, and all the ones up here are going to fall out of there onto the ground, and you're going to have a bad day. So usually I'll put a tray underneath everything, try to catch the bearings as I'm dropping the steering stem down. I'm going to take the fender off to make it a little easier on myself. Get a little 10mm socket. There should be 4 bolts under here. Pop those off and the fender should just drop right down. Now before I drop the triple tree down, I put a little bucket below here to drop any bearings that fall out. I keep my hand below it just to catch anything if I can. Let's keep threading this out. Oh yeah, a few are already falling out. And there's absolutely no grease in there. Slowly drop this so I don't lose all the top bearings. Take the race out of here. One bearing stuck on there. Yep, those look to be the original bearings. Never been, yep, those look like they were never greased, ever. And we'll put everything back together how it was, just so we don't lose anything. Race in there. That point, thread this on, our top washer on, and the top nut, and put that on the shelf. And let's put our bearings in this other bag for the front end stuff so we don't lose those. The body panels are going to be a little weird on this since this is all homemade stuff. These are homemade fiberglass side panels that I made in this video. If you want to check that out. Tank. Should be able to lift this back here. Pull it out of the ground. It's up front. Man, we're getting down to the nitty gritty. We'll get my temporary hacked on exhaust pipe and super trap out of the way. Still need to look for a muffler for this thing. Not sure what I want to use yet. I wouldn't mind finding one off of an original XL125, but they seem very hard to come by. Easy enough. On most bikes, yeah, there'll be bracketry back here you have to loosen up. Maybe some intermediate bracketry here that you have to loosen up to pull it off, but there should be a gasket up in here, but I guess there's not. I'll have to find one for this bike. But for now, I'm just going to shove some paper towel up in here so nothing naughty gets up into the head. While I'm working on engine stuff, I might as well get my nice, pretty homemade air box out of here. And the carburetor off. That is just beautiful. Take off this high quality, highly OEM Velcro off. Get the carb out of here. Come on. Okay. I'll go drain the fuel out of this outside and bag this so it doesn't get all dirty. Disconnect the lovely Chinese wiring harness. Dang it, I'm dropping everything today. Now let's look for the wires that go back to the motor and unhook those. And our wiring harness should be done. Engine wiring is all clear. Should be able to remove my ground from my battery box. At that point, the wiring harness should be out. Take my battery out of my homemade battery box while we're at it. There, one wiring harness. Yep, now I think I'll just take the motor mounts out, slide the engine out. Hard stuff's done. Yeah, if you're curious how I made these motor mounts to fit this TRX200SX engine into this frame, it's this video right there. Pretty fun video if you want to go check that out when you're done with this one. Ooh, design flaw. I had to extend my chain guard that came on the 200SX out a little bit to cover this area so I don't get chain goo all over me. I'll have to remember to put the bolts in from this direction and the nuts over here. Because that's not coming out like that. We are loose. Okay, the way I built these motor mounts, this should be as simple as just pulling this straight out the side. We'll see if we get that lucky. Ooh, this 200SX engine is a lot heavier than a ATC125 engine. Ah well. Boy, it must be strong. It's not really all that much larger than an ATC 125M engine. A little bit thicker in the rear end, but sure is heavy. We're getting down to the nitty gritty. Foot pegs, swing arm, rack, rear fender, homemade battery box. Yeah, foot brake. We should be pretty much done after that. Yeah, make sure I don't scratch my pretty brand new rack. Taking the foot brake off should be pretty simple. A little cotter pin right there, slide that out. The sleeve should pop out. And then I should be able to drop that straight down. Pin. Now this should slide out. There we go. Stuck onto the frame though. Get out of there. There we go. Let's put this all back together again how it was so I don't lose anything. Sleeve, frame, washer, cotter pin. I'll have to get some torsion springs and a peg for the foot peg. Because I just got that held on like that for now, but we can fix that later. Come on, get out of there. I love these 3-row wide foot pegs. Homemade battery box. Easy enough. Ooh, that got rusty real quick. Have to acid dip that and paint that. It'll be good as new. Now, swing arm. 17 over here, 19mm on the lock nut. I need more horsepower than that. Hopefully that swing arm bolt isn't seized in there. I should be able to palm that out, pull the swing arm out towards the back. Please don't be rusted in there. Oh, we lucked out. Fantastic. Piece of cake. This is held on by nothing but zip ties. Yeah. Or zip tie, I guess. Oh, hey, oh, don't want to hurt my pretty homemade license plate mount I made. Put this someplace where it won't get scratched. Well, look at that. We're down to just the kickstand. One hand, come on. Down to just the kickstand, the skid plate. This frame is ready to depaintify, derustify. Well, fantastic. We got that whole thing disassembled in one morning. Everything back there on the shelf is all nice and organized, so I shouldn't be able to lose anything. Yeah, in the near future, I'm gonna clean everything up and paint it so it looks as pretty as this bike. The engine's all ready to go. I rebuilt that motor from the ground up, top end and bottom end, in this video. Probably wanna check that out if you're interested in 200SX stuff. Really good video. Speaking of really good videos, this one right here and this one right here, especially this one, I think you're gonna love it. Or spin on over to my channel and see what I got going on over there. Thank you, and see you around.